Hey founders, Kirk Mitchie with Candor Advisors here. Hey, quick bit of advice this week on what I would say is increased outreach, if you will. Not necessarily increased deal activity, but a lot of increased outreach from well-funded or at least aggressive and ambitious private equity firms of all stripes. The guidance here is be careful now to assume that all private equity firms are the same. A private equity firm that has, successfully invested and return capital on 3 or 4 funds and is investing in your business out of the 5th fund is a lot different from a search fund where there's an operating executive who's convinced some investors to fund him buying your business, or an independent sponsor where you might have some ex-investment bankers and some ex-private equity people who are doing deals a deal at a time now, and they have a network who can fund those deals. And the reason we double click on the importance of making sure that if you're selling your business to a private equity sponsor, you pick the right one, and you make sure that if you're going to retain any of the equity, in other words, do what's called a majority recapitalization transaction, that you do that with a group that has produced great returns for their owners and their investors before, and that you do parallel due diligence on them. It's absolutely critical. With the proliferation of private equity firms, and I mean there are tons of them, if you include the family offices that invest with a private equity kind of paradigm, if you include the search funds, if you include the independent sponsors, you include all of the emerging private equity firms, the middle market private equity firms, the large private equity firms, there are probably more of these firms than there are stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. So they're not all the same. And most importantly, they're not all the same in terms of their experience or whether transferring the risk of owning your company and trusting some of the legacy of selling the business that you've spent decades, maybe generations building. So be very, very careful here. If we can provide any guidance on that, please navigate over to candor-advisors.com. In the insights section, there's close to 100 videos that address a lot of the topics that are going to come up specific to when you're thinking about selling your business. And then feel free to click on the call to action button, talk to Kirk. Give me an overview, a description of how you think we might be able to help. That's completely free as well. You may or may not become an engaged client at Candor Advisors, but we will respond within 24 hours, promise. Anyway, please let us know if we can be helpful, and have a fantastic week.